Hey everybody, it's Jettee Lupe here, and I am going to be doing the ear tutorial video finally. So excuse this very bad picture of me. I lost all of the pictures I was trying to use for this. I had some issues with my phones, and I had to keep all my pictures on my phone, and things didn't get uploaded to the drive. So anyway, we're gonna actually be going off of the Jolteon ears, but they're a really good base for how I make all my ears. So let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is get a headband. It can be like any headband. I go to the dollar store and buy some really cheap ones. Then what you want to do is cover the whole thing in duct tape. And it's really important that you use duct tape, especially on like dollar store headbands, because you're going to need to bend them a lot to get them over your wig. And it helps to keep them from breaking. So I use usually just whatever duct tape I have hanging around. I happen to have yellow for this one. So then the other supplies that you're going to need are a fabric. I use felt for my Jolteon ears as well as my original Sylveon ears, and actually they were also the base of my Glaceon and Flareon ears, so I use it quite a lot. And you also need some wire. I believe this is 16 gauge aluminum wire. You can also use copper wire, but it's a lot harder to bend. I think that aluminum wire is good enough for this type of ear, because you do need to be able to bend the wire around the shape of the headband. Sorry, I'm trying to think about what I'm trying to say here. So you basically kind of like see how big you want them. You don't need the wire frame to be as big as the ears, but you need it to be big enough to be able to hold up the weight of the ears. Felt isn't that heavy, but I use these even when I make stuffed ears. I always have a wire base. It is so important to keeping the ears upright, and this is just a close-up picture of how the wire is bent around the headband. It looks a little bit wonky, and if you have trouble bending them, you might need to get tools, but if I use aluminum wire, it's usually easy enough to just bend myself. You definitely want to get like between 12 and 16 gauge just to make sure that it's sturdy enough to hold up the weight of your ears. Because if it's not, then your ears are going to be really floppy, and I just can't stand floppy ears. So this is just another picture kind of showing you up close, and also what I do with my ears is after I wrap them with the duct tape and then wrap the wire on them, I will take a ribbon that is very close, or as close as I can possibly get, to the color of my wig and wrap that around the whole headband. Now for this one, since I was using yellow duct tape, I really didn't have to use a lot of it, but I usually don't have duct tape that matches my wig. So I will take ribbon and actually just wrap up the whole headband. And you can just use hot glue to do this. This has been all like, this is with hot glue here. It's pretty easy. Just watch you don't burn your hands. Usually it's not too bad, but as you can see, I didn't completely like wrap them around. I just kind of laid it on top since I already had yellow duct tape. But again, I would actually wrap the ribbon around and try to get one that matches your wig as close as possible, because it will be visible. So then the next thing you need to do is cut out the shape of your ears. So again, these were for Jolteon, and Jolteon has flat ears, so I was okay with using the flat felt for this. And also felt is super cheap. I mean, these ears only cost like $5 to make, and I mean, they look really nice overall. And I also put this sparkly yellow tulle over my felt just to give them a little bit of a sparkle, and it kind of went with the whole like lightning aspect of Jolteon. So here you can see I am just hot gluing those felt pieces right on. You have a felt piece for the front and felt piece for the back, and basically you sandwich the wire in between. And I think the thing that really kind of makes my ears stand out compared to anybody else's ears, I mean, I guess other people do this, but let me rephrase. When I tell people I use wire, they are like, wow, like that's such a good idea, because really, like, your ears can be really, really, really floppy if you don't use wire. And again, even on my stuffed ears, like for my hamster ears or for my newer Sylveon ears, for my Ruby Sylveon that are stuffed, I always have a wire base. I think it just helps so much with the structure and to hold them up. And then this is just kind of the finished product here. Everything is just hot glued. Now you can go and sew all of this together. If your machine can take felt, you can sew this. You can also just use regular material. So again, this is like the end picture. So this is how I start all my ears. So even my Flareon ears, this is what they looked like when I was done before I did the fur. So to add the fur on, I just all the fur is actually like pieces of yarn that are tied in knots and then brushed out with a dog brush and then flat ironed to like keep the frizz down. And then all I did was just hand sew that on to the felt ears. You can also just glue the little bits on. I ended up gluing some of it. And the wire is strong enough to hold up even the weight of these giant furry ears. And I will say Flareon's ears are pretty heavy. I think they're the heaviest ears that I have. They're very large and they also have all that fur on them. So they all started the same way with the same felt base because, I mean, felt is super cheap. So, you know, it worked out and you can get it in every color. For my hamster ears, since they're round, what I did was use actual like faux fur fabric. Sorry, I'm trying to think of my words here. And I sewed that and I still like put it over the round skeleton of the wire skeleton that I had and then stuffed it. And then all I had to do was just hand sew like the very bottom of it. So you just have to leave yourself enough room. If you're going to machine sew anything, make sure you leave yourself enough room so that you can shove them onto the wire skeleton, especially if you have a round one like you would have for hamster ears. And then just stuff them and then hand sew them. And you can also glue it, like you don't have to hand sew, you can also just glue, which, you know, is the same thing basically. And for my newest Ruby Sylveon ears, they were machine sewn, and then also the purple part is felt that was glued on, and then the rhinestones are just glued on. I actually tried to make these a few different ways. I am still not 100% happy with them, but again, they are like a wire base. And if you need to make bunny ears, like say you want to do a bunny version of whatever, you can make them the same way. And the great thing about the aluminum wire is that it's bendable. So your ears are totally posable. And that's what I think is like really fun about it. So if you need to make bunny ears, what I would suggest is machine sewing or hand sewing or gluing together your like nice silky fabric or whatever kind of fabric you're trying to use for your ears, and then put that over the wire skeleton. But before you do that, and this is what I do with my Glaceon ears as an extra layer of support, I actually glued down a piece of felt before I put on the like regular material pieces, if that makes sense. So it was like the wire skeleton with just one piece of felt just glued on top of the wire just to help for support. So that is a super quick and easy how I do my ears. I mean, really, it is like super cheap. It all just comes down to what kind of materials you want to use. My Jolteon ears, I mean, really, it costs like $5 because like you get a pack of 3 of these headbands at the dollar store. One thing that I didn't mention that's really important, and I don't know why, I don't even know if I have a picture of it. You need to use clips. Oh my goodness. I have these big alligator clips that I use. I will try to fill in a picture here with a picture of the clips. I use these big alligator clips. I mean, they're probably like 3 or 4 inches long. Like if you can get the biggest ones you can find, I just hot glue those right in. Sometimes I'll put another piece of ribbon around them just to help secure them. But they are so great because you can kind of put them right through your wig cap, right through your wig, and it helps to hold the ears on your head because when you're running around all day with these big heavy ears on, you don't want them flopping around or falling off. And especially because I do a lot of the masquerades and stuff like that, I can't be having things falling off. So I always use these clips. I mean, I use them for everything. I love them. So anyway, if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you guys so much.